Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, I will present to everyone about the translator, interpreter, and mediator. So, for the first time, I will ask everyone, did you hear about translation? I think you always heard that. So these days, such a technology like Google Translate or can seamlessly do the job for us. Google Translate like the proposition or the dictionary denotative meaning a letter no loss or distortion of meaning need even occur. So beside the Google Translate, we have another application like Papago or Takobo or like computer aided machine translation. All these apps can translate like accurate by starting from 450 until 74.5%. Like for example, is nominalized adjective mobile, the most usual general, meaning mobile phone, but in the text we have 11 references to mobile device. 5 to mobile users or client, and 2 each mobile object and mobile station. But also the apps and the interpreter or translator in human mode is such a different. In this case, a professional interpreter or translation will not only need to have a near-nation command but of language, but also need to know how to best define the equivalence. But the real problem of understanding the meaning remains. A non-native speaker fluent in methodology and the continuous case-still process will almost certainly be able to comment on the translation at the level of meaning, and may be able to provide a less accurate but more meaningful translation. So we move to the example. The example in this one is about product labeling. Label Check says in 2017, a label cannot simply be translated literally. Substantive knowledge is required. The meaning is, if translator or interpreter needs to translate about the product label is must know about the knowledge about the product labeling in advance. So another statement come from Moise in 2004 states that if advertising is translated at all, the translators should closely cooperate with the copywriter, art director team, and not only translate but also advise about culture-specific aspect of both language. So the rules example is like this. Specific French language requirement for labeling in Quebec include the following. 1. Every inscription on product, its packaging, container, leaflet, brochure, or card supplied must be in French. And the second one, if there are multiple languages on a product label, French must have greater prominence than the other language. So the last one, toys or games that require the use of non-French vocabulary for their use are forbidden unless there is an equivalent French product available on the Quebec market. So in this example, is super dish like a toy for children. In our language like French, Danish, and Swedish, we have a warning like incorrect use this product may cause permanent hearing damage to the children. But in Arabic, the translator just like have a straightforward marketing. So the next one is about internationalization and localization. Russian linguist Roman Jakobson famously defined as an interpretation of verbal sign by means of some other language. Localization was originally coined to define the way software needed to be re-engineered for different language and culture. But nowadays, this term used more generally to describe the tailoring of an existing product to the need of specific local market. But in another way, internationalization, on the other hand, is the design of a product so that it be easily adapted to foreign market. And the next one is about culture. Economist Intelligence Unit say affirms for the corporate world has at least recognized a new reality in which the right products and services must also now be aligned with the necessary cultural sensitivity and communication skills in order for companies to succeed in market away from home. Translating for communities of practice require language professionals with the necessary cultural sensitivity and communication skill to intervene and negotiate the cultural gaps. The next one is about the cultural mediator. According to Taft, they say a mediator must possess the following competencies in both cultures, such as knowledge about society like history, folklore, tradition, custom, values, and prohibition. And the second one is about communication skills like written, spoken, and nonverbal. And the third one is technical skills, those required by the mediation status like computer literacy, appropriate dress, and another. And the last one is social skills, knowledge of rules that govern social relations in society, and emotional competence like appropriate level of self-control. Ragagimeno in 2011 identifies three types of communicative activities and related skills required of cultural mediator. The first one is linguistic, like translation and interpreting of verbal communication, knowledge of terminology, appropriate register, and the second one is explicitation, like cultural beliefs, interactional patterns, administrative norm or procedure. The last one is negotiation and conflict of resolution techniques. So now we arrive at the main topic, like the title is the translator and interpreters. Sandra Hale says, because language and culture are intertwined and accurate interpreting cannot be achieved at the basic word level. Words in interaction only take on meaning according to context, situation, participant, and culture. So the translator and interpreter must know about the whole situation, about the participant and the culture. They just not only know about the words, about the language knowledge, but about the whole situation they face at the venue. And another statement from Masami Kondo, president of Japan Association for Interpretation Studies, says professional interpreters are impartial mediators interested in the communication process rather than outcome of the interaction. So the interpreters and translators play an important role in facilitating parties who do not share a common language to communicate effectively with each other. They aim to ensure that the full intent of the communication is conveyed. Interpreters and translators maintain clear boundaries between their tasks as facilitators of communication through message transfer and any task that may be undertaken by other parties in the assignment. The interpreters, Annelie Knapp-Pothoff and Carl-Fred Knapp, says in their contribution to Bochner volume were amongst the first to suggest that interpreters should become a visibly third party, and within certain limits may develop his or her own initiative, introduce the new topics, give comment and explanation, and present arguments. The example is Takimoto. He is interpreting and translating for Australian and Japanese business things. So he says, active participant in intercultural communicative situation are more dynamic and proactive than traditional stereotype towards interpreters implies. Example of active participation including voicing an opinion, advising on business protocol, selective and summary, interpreting and interrupting or seeking clarification on behalf of the client, because in Japanese culture, are less likely to do so. So in this slide, I will talk about the translator. George Steiner pointed at the translator is a bilingual mediating again between monolingual communication participants in two different language communities. On the other side, Hatim and Mason says the translator is first and foremost a mediator between two parties for whom mutual communication may otherwise be problematic, and this is true of the translator of patents, contract, verse, or fiction just as much as it is of the simultaneous interpreter who can be seen to be mediating in very direct way. Hatim and Mason conclude with the specific ways in which a translator is a mediator. The first one is bicultural vision, is the translator is uniquely placed to identify and resolve the disparity between sign and the value across the culture. And the second one is critical reader. The translator is a privileged reader of the source language or SL text. She or he will have the opportunity to read the text carefully before translating, and therefore is in a position to help the target reader by producing as clear as a text as the context would warrant. It has become commonly accepted that translation and interpreting involve and require more than linguistic transfer, though whether translator and interpreter should be involved in these extra activities, as we have seen above, is a moot point. Pochaker in 2008 says every interpreter or translator is a mediator between language and culture, but not every mediator is an interpreter or translator. The two can be expected to coexist side by side, most likely in a constructive, complementary relationship, and even in the same person, provided that the dually qualified professional and his or her clients are aware that the service provided in a given interaction is either interpreting or mediation, and in either case found on the state of the art model professional practice. So the conclusion is the translator and interpreter, of course, they need great or advanced about source language, but they also need the culture or the norms about the both language they translate. So the message of the both language can convey in the most effective and the most accurate way. So thank you about this your attention. So thanks for all attention, and this is the end of my presentation. Any question, everyone? Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.